Evan Ortlieb here, and we're going to be talking about how to get published in your field of study with or without primary source data. One of the things that I've taken great pride in establishing myself as an educational researcher in the field of literacy is trying to get published in terms of the quantity, the amount of times that people see your work out there, but also in terms of quality to make sure that they're in reputable journals and other forums for wide dissemination of your ideas, your information, and the findings that you have from your data that you collect, as well as organizing data in different ways. So I'm first going to talk to you about an opportunity that I had when I was recruited to work at Texas A&M University and work with Jack Cassidy. So right when I was offered that job in 2010, he said, let's think about how we can actually review some of my work in the what's hot in the field of literacy historically in terms of the last 10 years or so. How can we look at this from a standpoint of historicity, a standpoint of what has changed in the last 10 years in terms of what is hot, what is not hot today. So if you look at some of these, some of the data here, you can see like what was hot and what was not hot in 2011, the results there. I did not participate in that particular project, but I was able to compare what was hot and not hot in 2011 with what was hot and not hot in 2001. And we began to look and dive deeper into what were those changes, why did those changes perhaps occur, and what can we learn from that in order to continue to project forward in terms of looking at literacy from a dynamic perspective and reviewing the first decade of the new millennium with respect to that. So that's one way that I was able to get this article published in the journal Reading Horizons, and it came out in 2011, the next year, because we're very familiar with the publishing cycle, and it's taken some time in order to actually get out there in press. So that's one example of how, again, I've had some success not using original data sets in order to get published, and I did a historical analysis comparing 2001 to 2011 and what had occurred over the last decade to start the new millennium with respect to literacy trends and issues. Now I'm going to share a second document that demonstrates how I was able to outline a research project that really aimed at a new topic. So we were looking at reading clinics, and literacy clinics, reading clinics has always been something that's been I've been passionate about. And we started seeing more and more remedial and different kinds of intervention programs go online. And so we wanted to test the efficacy of using an online reading program, online reading environment for intervention or remediation within a clinic. And so I partnered with some folks over at Northeastern State University in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And so we wanted to make sure that the study was done in a productive and efficient way. And so I'm a firm believer in starting with an outline. And so you can see right here, I wanted to first establish a purpose for the study, as well as a hypothesis or a null hypothesis. And then what was really the impetus for this study to begin with, right? So that was important to consider. And then we built a theoretical framework with a literature review combined within that examined digital literacies, the motivation towards those, and then how does all that fit into the context of reading clinics. Then we wanted to map out the methods that we would use for both data collection and data analysis. So we were looking at 75 participants who were 4th through 6th graders, and it was over the summer. So there were 12 sessions for these tutoring sessions, and we had three groups that we were looking at: a traditional one using pen and paper and print, a hybrid one who would be using some printed materials and some time with the online reading environment, and then finally a completely digital group that did their intervention and tutoring remediation fully in an online environment. We wanted to consider all these other issues here with reliability, validity, fidelity, etc. So we were very choosing particular instruments to measure different variables we were looking at, and then thinking about the ways in which we would analyze those. Then I also even posited the ways in which we would write up the results, where we would start off with small or non-statistically significant findings and then hit them with the juicier statistical significant findings afterwards to leave readers with that, that impact, what was going on there. And then finally, the things that didn't change and so forth. Before a further discussion, conclusion section, what were the outcomes there? All these items here in this outline were drafted before the start of the study. And I can't emphasize that enough, is that you, just like if you're going to write a novel, an article, or anything else, you just have to start a project with an idea that's organized in a way around this idea of brainstorming. We met, I drove from Texas to Oklahoma to meet with Stephen and Megan Moreland, Stephen Sargent, that is, and Megan Moreland. Were excellent researchers over there, but I wanted to meet with them. I wanted to see how the clinic run. I wanted to, really immerse myself in that environment, even though I wouldn't be there when the data was collected. And therefore, we were able to write it up together in a collaboration that really started something significant. And from there, we ended up doing an edited volume on reading clinics. And so it started to snowball from this initial success. Having this paper set up in this fashion, I believe, helped me be able to co-write one of the best articles that I've done to date. And again, it's called Evaluating the Efficacy of Using an Online Reading Environment for Remediation in a Reading Clinic. So I encourage you to check that out. Again, this is one way to set up the brainstorming and the beginnings of a research project where you collect your own data. And I have already given you an example of how you would do so with other data sets that already exist through a historical analysis, meta-analysis, or something like that. So again, I encourage you to continue to move the field forward with educational research, and I hope this was able to help you in some way today. Take care.